Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone. Hi Mom Nadia. We from group 1. We want to explain about the application of grammar translation method in the teaching of reading for junior high school. My name is Adelya Febrianti and I first speaker and second speaker is Ade Afrilda, and third speaker is Nanda, Putri, Firdaus, Rosidy, and the last speaker is Ervina Nur Cahyanti. I want to tell about what is GTM for teaching. The background is the grammar translation method was created with the aim of teaching foreign language. This method had a major influence in the mid-19th century and it's still used in some countries by teachers to teach foreign language. But over time, new methods are underway to enhance the learning process. And next, the role of teacher and learners. This method is based on the grammar, rules, and vocabulary of the target language. This method is a traditional method, so it needs the role of the teacher. The teacher is an authority in the classroom. Students do what the teacher says so that they can learn what they know. Another teacher role is to teach foreign language to students with little spoken production of the target language. The goal of the teacher to use this method is so that students are able to read literature in the target language. The teacher is the initiator of interaction in the language class as the facilitator to students. The next is method characteristic. Theoretically, traditional method language is about translation, studying vocabulary, and grammar rules, with the aim of making students able to read literature and translate from one language to another. And the last, technique to be used from this method. Using this method, we can use the following technique that take into account the similarities in the test methods. One of them is fill in the blank, which consists of filling in the blanks in certain sentences that have no word, and students must fill them in with the appropriate target vocabulary. Also, we can use memorization technique where students learn new vocabulary, grammar rules, and verb conjunction. And the second paragraph and the second speaker is Ade Afrilda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time. I am Ade Afrilda as the second speaker. I will continue the explanation from the first speakers. This time I will explain about the reading comprehension questions in GTM. Before going to further explanation about the reading comprehension questions, I will tell you here about the exercise of a class using the GTM method, and next about the objective in GTM method. Exercise of a class using in the GTM method, there are 4 aspects here. The first is translation, the second is reading comprehension questions, the third is memorizations, And the fourth is fill in the blank. Translations of a literary passage. Students translate a reading passage from the target language into their mother language. The second, reading comprehension questions. This is exercise we will focus next time. Reading comprehension questions is students answer questions in the target language based on their understanding of the reading passage. The third, we have memorizations. Memorizations are students asked to memorize new words, grammatical rules, and verb conjunction. And the last is fill in the blank. Fill in the blank, students are given a series of sentences with word missing. Okay, next we have objective of GTM. There are three goals in GTM method. The first goal is to be able to read literature written in the target language. The second is to be able to translation, like the method name, grammar translation method, translation from one language to another language. And the last goal is to develop reading and writing skills. Okay, now we come to the reading comprehension questions. Here, reading comprehension questions, students answer questions in the target language based on their understanding of the reading passage. Often the questions are sequenced so that the first group of questions asks for information contained within the reading passage. In order to answer the second group of questions, students will have to make inferences based on their understanding of the passage. This means they will have to answer questions about the passage, even though the answers are not contained in the passage itself. The third group of questions requires students to relate the passage to their own experience. Okay, next. There are three types comprehension questions here. The first type is question to test the student's comprehension of the text. The second type is question whose answers are not in the text but which call upon the student's deduction or inferencing skills. The third is question which link the passage to the learner's own experiences. And we have goal here. The goal is to develop the students' comprehension, reading, and writing skills. Okay, here we come to the example of reading comprehension question. Mention it is students answer questions in the target language based on their understanding of the reading passage. We can look the following question here. The first is there, what are the 4 key values in the survey? So this means they are asked about the value about the story. Then there is who are much more concerned with physical, so we look for the concern of the story, and etc. Perhaps the reading comprehension question in GTM is good method, but there is shortcomings of the method is GTM put too much emphasis on reading and writing, but not listening and speaking. Only teacher speaks. It doesn't help the student learns correct pronunciation of the target language. Okay, That's all from me. The next explanation.
Okay, I'm Ervina. I will continue this presentation. I will explain about the advantage of the grammar translation method. The first is it is an easy method. In this method, the child process from the know to unknown. He already know his mother tongue and now he learns the English equivalence. Second, it helps in building vocabulary. Translation method helps in the rapid expansion of vocabulary of the student as it avoids difficult definition or lengthy explanation. The vocabulary is economically and effectively acquired. Students get the exact meanings of words. The third is it saves teacher labor. The teacher finds it very easy to prepare his lesson. He hasn't to think the why and means to explain new words. It doesn't require the teacher to make use of audiovisual aids. Then, comprehension is easily tested. Student comprehension of English, especially at the early stages, can be easily tested by asking them to answer questions in the mother tongue. The last is grammar is easily taught. Grammar of the foreign language is easily taught by comparing it with the grammar of the mother tongue. Then, the disadvantage of the grammar translation method. The first is it is a natural method. In the translation method, the teacher starts teaching English to the student by teaching them reading first. But while learning his mother tongue, the child learns first to understand spoke English and then speaking. The natural order of learning a language is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Translation method doesn't follow this method. Second, it neglects speech. Translation method neglects speech no much. No much attention is paid to oral work or drill work in this method. Besides this, there is little ear training, as the teacher speaks the mother tongue most of the time. The third, it neglects patterns practice. There is no patterns practice in the translation method. The result is that students aren't able to speak English correctly. Then, it ignores habit formation. Because of the neglect of speech and patterns practice, translation method ignores habit formation. The child never acquires the habit to think in English. Instead, first he thinks in his mother tongue and translates his tongue into English. The last, it makes the student a passive. In the translation method, the student isn't an active participant in the teaching learning process. He is passive listener. I think enough. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Hello Mom Nadia. Okay, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Nanda Putri Firdaus Rosidy, and usually all my friends call me Putri. Okay, now I will explain about application of grammar translation method for junior high school. First, teaching methodology has become popular in teaching and learning activities in classroom. It also become the major thing included in lesson plan. Teaching methodology used in classroom is an action to attain the purpose for each subject matter effective and make children learn better, and this condition will be an important aspect of the success of teaching and learning activities. Let us first consider whether our method used in the English class has run well or not. Sometimes teachers have to choose the easy one activity for teaching their students without or any considering they are using the appropriate method or making the random method in teaching the English. For the next is discussion. In the first, I will explain about Kramer's translation method. Kramer's translation method, or GTM, is not new in the education because this method had been being familiar in teaching methodology until now. It was also hoped that through this method students would become more familiar with the grammar or the native language, and it is commonly used for the purpose in helping students in writing and in the reading. Grammar translation method defines as a fundamental purpose of learning foreign language is to be able to read literature written in the target language. Students need to learn about grammar rules and vocabulary of the target language. Common characteristics of grammar translation method are the interaction in the class is mostly from the teacher to the student, and vocabulary and grammar are emphasized, and reading and writing are the primary skills that the student work on, and there is much less attention given to read the writing. Okay, for the next is total physical response or TPR. Total physical response or TPR is given to a learning strategy which has been developed and promoted by Professor James Azar of San Jose State University in California. The basic technique of TPR is simple, just learners act out command given by the teacher or their fellow pupils. This activity will put long-term memorizing towards students because they can do and feel what actually they learn. Using the command from teachers is something fun, rather than doing something which is focused on the paper or teacher's speech. So, how can students learn for competencies by using total physical response? Okay, for the first is listening. In listening, students will hear teachers comment many times because TPR asks teachers to give the instruction in terms of comments until students get the point out. And the next or second is speaking. In speaking, students will practice their pronunciation, even their communication, because their teacher has shown to them many times. The next is reading. In the reading, a student can practice their reading by using a slice of paper given by a teacher which has an interesting picture, and then a student will practice their reading on it. And the last is writing. In the writing, a student will be able to write whatever they just hear, even it is in phrase or word. They will elaborate it to become either a sentence or a paragraph. Okay, for the last is conclusion. So, it can be concluded that total physical response can provide many benefits if it is done in teaching junior high school students, especially in English. And in addition, teachers who teach English subject can use the result of this research into their English class because they already know a good methodology like what their students need to learn English. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you very much, and let's say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Bye.